Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. We're just going to give it a few minutes for more people to trickle in before we all begin. For those of you who are just trickling in, we're going to give it a few moments before we begin. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here today on a Friday evening. I hope you all are doing well and staying healthy. My name is Lillian, and I use she, hers pronouns. I am one of the program coordinators in the Multicultural Center. During this session, you will learn more about PolyCultural Weekend and hear from a panel of students involved across different cultural communities on campus about their experiences here at Cal Poly. During this time, feel free to use the Q&A feature as we move through the session so that we can answer any questions you may have along the way. First, we'd like to start off this session by having everyone here introduce themselves with their name, their pronouns, their year, and their major.
Hi, my name is Angelica Macalisang. I'm a fourth year and my pronouns are she or hers. I am double majoring in animal science and comparative ethnic studies. And I got involved with PCW as a hostee, so I was an incoming student. And I've been involved ever since. I've been a host, an org rep, a committee head, and now I'm a coordinator.
Hi everyone, my name is Jimmy Feldman. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a fifth year comparative ethnic studies major, and I also got involved as a hostie, coming in as a first year student to Cal Poly, and I've been involved every year since as a host, a volunteer, a committee head, and now a coordinator.
Hi, my name is Maddie. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a third year liberal studies major with minors in child development and ethnic studies. I got involved in PCW my first year. I was a host for one of the cultural organizations. And my second year, I was an organization representative for that same cultural org. And this year, I'm the hype coordinator.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shay. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a third year marine science major, and I got involved in PCW as a host my first year. Last year, I was a committee head for housing, and this year, I am the operations coordinator.
Hi, my name is Jordan Perlos, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am a second year electrical engineering major, and I got my start with PCW by being a host my first year and a hype committee head this year.
Hi, y'all. My name is Vicente Jesus Rios. I am a fourth year electrical engineering major, and my pronouns are he, him, his. I got involved with PCW my second year as a host, and then my third and fourth year, I was an org rep.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eric C. I'm also a fourth year electrical engineer. I got my start with PCW as a second year as a volunteer. I was a volunteer my third year, and as my fourth year, I was a member of the operations team. So that was cool.
Hi everyone, my name is Tisa Taranchi. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I'm a third year public health major with a bio minor. I got involved with PCW my first year as a host, and then my second year as a committee head, and then this year as a committee head. Yes.
Hey everyone, my name is Elaine. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a nutrition major with minors in food science and Chinese studies. I got involved with PCW before my first year as a hostee, and then my first year as a host, and now as a second year, I am an org rep for Chinese Students Association.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Sparks. I'm representing Black Student Union today. My pronouns are she, her, and hers, and I'm actually a recent alum, just graduated a couple quarters ago. And I double majored in agricultural business and comparative ethnic studies. I started PCW as a host in high school, and then I was an org rep, and or a hostee, excuse me, and then I was an org rep for several years. So love being a part of this program.
Hi everyone, I'm Emily and I'm a second year business major. I was a host last year and I'm an org rep this year, and my pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm representing AKD5 today.
What's up, everyone? Oh, I was waiting when that was gonna happen. All right, sorry. What's up, everyone? My name is Aman, he, him pronouns. Electrical engineering, fourth year, and I was a host my freshman year with PCW, so that's when I started. And I'm representing the National Society of Black Engineers.
All right, so hi, my name is Alan Martinez. I'm a first year agriculture communication student, but I'm actually switching my major to recreation, parks, and tourism administration. And for my first year, I was involved in PCW as an org rep.
Hey everyone, my name is Siri. I'm currently a second year in liberal arts and engineering studies, and my concentrations are computer science and graphic communications. I'm currently here on behalf of the Indian Student Association, and this year was my first year being involved in PCW.
Hi everyone, I'm Brian Liu, pronouns he, him, his. I'm a second year biology major. I started PCW as a host my first year, and I became an org rep for the Thai Vietnamese Student Association in my second year.
Amber, if you want to go next.
Okay, I wasn't sure if Alexa wanted to go, my bad. So hi, my name is Amber. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a fifth year computer engineering and ethnic studies double major. And I first got involved in PCW by being a host my first year, and I've been a volunteer every year since.
Hi everyone, my name is Alexa Marquez. I'm from the Society of Hispanic and Professional Engineers. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a third year aerospace engineering major. This is my first year actually getting involved with PCW, and I am an org rep for SHEP.
Hi everyone, my name is Adrienne Garcia Specht. I'm not a student, I'm actually a financial aid counselor, and I'm really excited that I'm here to listen to all these great students, that they're here to share their stories with you. But I can answer any questions you might have in the chat, and we're also having a couple Q&A sessions coming next week, so check the virtual open house website for that for the upcoming weeks.
Thanks so much for introducing yourselves, everyone. For this next part, we will have the PCW coordinators come on to talk about PCW and share some resources with y'all as you learn more about it as well.
Okay, so we have a little presentation ready for you all so you get some general information about PCW and what the program usually entails. So we're going to go ahead and get started.
So here's a couple of things that we're going to be covering in this presentation. So we're going to talk about what PCW is at its fundamental core, what it usually, typically, traditionally looks like. And we're going to move into the significance of PCW and why we want it on campus. And we'll talk about the transition of what it would look like to join the cultural community here on campus. And then we'll take a little tour of the PCW website and see what that looks like. Then we'll have a question and answer session with all of our lovely panelists. And then we'll talk a little bit about our next steps.
So what is PolyCultural Weekend, or as we call it, PCW? So PolyCultural Weekend is a student-founded and student-run program for conditionally accepted incoming students that are typically hosted by current Cal Poly students. And this program is designed to support underrepresented prospective students.
PCW began in 2004 and was created by the following four organizations: the American Indian Student Association, the Indian Student Association, Movimiento Estudiantil Chicanx de Aztlán, and Filipino Cultural Exchange. This year, we have 34 participating cultural organizations, and even though we have always been a student-run and student-founded organization, in the last few years, we've received support through the Multicultural Center. The four founding organizations of PCW are represented in our official logo on the left side.
And we have 3 goals for PCW. The first one is to give prospective students a platform to learn about what it means to be a student on Cal Poly's campus and really feel that community if they do choose to come to Cal Poly and see the amazing organizations that we have. Secondly, we want to foster the community amongst the various cultural organizations on campus. And we do this by bringing as many cultural organizations as we can together and being really involved and getting to know each other the quarter before and throughout the year, and really making this bond and these connections last throughout people's experiences in college. And lastly, we want to increase the cultural literacy of our community by providing intentional trainings for hosts and org reps. So throughout winter quarter, the quarter before PCW traditionally happens, we have presentations from each of the participating organizations and have different resources on campus come and present and tell the representatives about their programs.
Go into PW. So there aren't too many opportunities for all the cultural organizations on campus to get together, but PCW is one of those times that we all get to come together as a community, and it builds relationships not only between the people within their organizations, but also between different organizations that might not get to connect as frequently. And we have a lot of students who participate in this every year. Over 550 students come together as volunteers or organization representatives, hosts and hosties too, that come together to make PCW happen. And as we mentioned before, we have over 30 organizations that are participating.
So there's a few ways that you can start to join in the cultural community. So one that we really recommend that would be a really good first step is looking into the cross-cultural experience. So the Week of Welcome is something that's required for all incoming students. And it's a really good opportunity to get to know like resources around campus and kind of familiarize yourself with just the feel of campus and the community. So this is an excerpt from the Cross-Cultural Experience or CCE website. This Week of Welcome option seeks to form a community for students who identify as a member of an underrepresented group, including but not limited to various racial and ethnic backgrounds, gender identities, citizenship, sexual orientations, and economic class. And this is something that we really like to have a connection with because we have a lot of common values amongst our program in PCW and the cross-cultural experience. So we really recommend that you check that out.
After CCE, another event that we highly recommend going to is WOW Club Showcase. This is a boothing event where all the organizations at Cal Poly set up booths and talk to students in order to recruit for their organizations. The organizations are typically sorted by zones, and all of the cultural organizations are usually placed right next to each other. This event is a great opportunity to meet members of these various organizations and especially get information about their first general meetings.
So due to COVID-19, many organizations are expanding their virtual platforms, and this applies to many of our cultural organizations as well. So on the left, we have a screenshot of our Instagram account, and we feature all of the organizations that participate and the organizational representatives that are involved and other fun things that their org does and anything that they wanted to share using our platform. So feel free to check us out. That's our Instagram handle right there, PolyCultural Weekend. And you can reach out to any of our participating organizations through Facebook, Instagram, or email. But if you don't have those social media platforms, we have a PCW question and answer form, which we will look at right now.
So we want to take some time to walk you through our website. So that's the URL down at the bottom. And the first thing that you'll see is this lovely collage that we have built with a lot of the faces of folks who have put in so much work to make sure that PolyCultural Weekend can happen. And we all are a very loving community and we make sure to support each other.
So when you scroll down a little bit just underneath that collage, we have our mission statement there for you all to read, and we also included a short little video. This just has a clip from the past couple of years of PCW, gives you an idea of what the weekend typically looks like, and it's really short and it's a cute little video. And underneath that, we have a little note for all of you. Dear hosties, we call hosties are the people that income are hosted by the students at Cal Poly. So this is just a little note for all of you to read. If you want to check out our website, it will be there.
If you scroll down a little bit further on that main page, you will find these 4 buttons. The top left one is the history of PCW, and then the top right one contains information about all of the organizations, and then the bottom right one contains information and a link to a new website coming May 1st.
So if you click on an organization's name, there will be a drop down and it will give you a small description of the organization, any social media they would like to representative from each org will get back to you, and the polycultural account will be CC'd in their responses to make sure that you have a timely response. Oh, I think I cut out. I'll repeat again. Can you hear me? Okay. So if you click on each organization's name, there'll be a drop down and their description will pop up, and any social media that they want to share will be linked there. But what you can see that's circled is it will take you to a Google form where you can ask them any questions you might have. If you have any organization specific questions or general questions, they're more than happy to answer. And in the response, a PolyCultural Weekend email account will be CC'd, so we can make sure that they're answering in a timely manner.
So just in case you're not on the website yet, we just put 2 screenshots of all of the organizations that we have involved in PCW. Maybe just take a minute or so to look at these just in case you don't have the website up.
Okay, and if you return back to that home page that we started on and go back to the buttons on the bottom, you're going to see the button on the bottom right-hand corner that says coming May 1st. And when you click on that,
When you click on that button, it will take you to a page that looks like this, and it will soon have the link for our virtual PCW 2020 website. This website is going to be published on May 1st, so make sure you tune in to check back for that. It will have more information, contain testimonials from various students, faculty, and staff from campus, a list of campus resources, videos of many of our cultural organizations' performing groups, as well as so much more. So we highly recommend coming back and checking on May 1st.
So I'll be talking about the question and answer portion, and we're going to give you some more of the details of how it will all happen. So Lillian will be our moderator, and we're going to ask one question, and all the panelists will get the chance to answer that question. And once everyone has answered, Lillian will ask the next question. But during this time, feel free to use the Q&A chat.
Thank you to our PCW coordinators for a wonderful presentation. We'll just jump right into this since we have 13 panelists with 3 questions. So the first question that we have is, how has PCW played a role in your Cal Poly experience?
How has PCW played a role in my Cal Poly experience? PCW being a host in PCW was really, really fun because I got to basically take in a hostie and show them around Cal Poly and show them like what we have to offer just as a cultural club, just like how as a big community we are here for each other. And it was just really fun to be around everyone. It's a great and welcoming community, and being a committee head was amazing. I loved it. I love being part of planning it. It's something so important to me, and it brings a lot of people together, which is a really, really nice feeling. And like knowing that you're going to be helping a lot of people is really, really good. Thank you.
I'm looking at the question again. It's what impact PCW has had on me, right? I think so. So for me, PCW, what I enjoyed and loved so much about it is it gives an opportunity to just give an unfiltered, honest review of what Cal Poly is. For me, before coming here, I didn't have that. I had no idea what I was coming into. I had no idea of the campus culture, classes, etc. I just more saw the brochure, signed the check, and said, yeah, let's go. So being a part of PCW, I love it just because it's your chance to really tell people and give them honestly how your personal experiences have been, and hopefully help them improve how their experience will be at Cal Poly, and hopefully entice them into coming to this university.
Yeah, so for me, since I never actually experienced PCW as a hostee, being on the other end of it, PCW has always been a very rewarding experience for me in being able to just, you know, as a volunteer, being able to help make the entire function go through smoothly, and just getting to meet everybody, not only meeting prospective students, but also meeting a bunch of current students in different cultural circles that, you know, I otherwise would not have had the opportunity to interact with. So yeah, that's my answer.
So I decided to host during my freshman year just on a whim, and it was an incredible experience. It was the first time that I got to see all of the cultural communities coming together on campus, which was really cool and unique. And I got to bond with my hostie, and I finally felt like I was making, you know, a direct impact on the campus in trying to change this campus climate. And then additionally, my second and third years, PCW gave me incredible leadership experience from being an org rep for ISCO, and then being a committee head for housing. You know, I've gained incredible friends and mentors.
I started off as a hostie, so PCW was actually like my first experience of Cal Poly, so that was a really good experience. Even like today, like 2 years later, my closest friend group consists of people I met at PCW. My first year roommate I met at PCW. So basically like my entire college experience is kind of based around my hostie experience. And then my first year last year, I became a host, and I was just really happy to be able to give that experience to other incoming students.
Aman, if you want to go next.
Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, so PCW has allowed me to interact with high schoolers that may be coming to Cal Poly in the future. And so as far as like how it's impacted my time at Cal Poly, it's just a very well-organized opportunity for me to reach out and give back to the next generation of Cal Poly students. So.
Hi, everyone. So this is actually my first time being a part of PCW or helping to organize it. I wasn't a hostee or a host, but I have attended it in the past years, just like to go and see what it's about, as I guess like seeing the performances and trying out the food that all the clubs have to offer. And I feel like it's helped me see that there is a community for you at Cal Poly, even though it's a little hidden. So this helps me see that there are people like us, and even though we're a predominantly white institution, yeah, there's still people for you to hang out with and relate to.
I think for myself, I really enjoyed, as a hostie, I really enjoyed it because I got to make so many connections with people. I felt like I already had a community going into Cal Poly, which was one of the main reasons why I chose it. And then I continued to stay involved because I think it's one of the few times on campus that all the cultural organizations come together. We do have a few other events, but for me, I feel like what sustains me and what like sustained me through college was being able to have that cultural community, being able to connect, being able to stay united in times. So I think it's just a great opportunity to really see and to learn and just to feel like you have people that understand what you're going through, that can be your support system. Sometimes you'll be the only one in your class that looks like you. So being able to be like, hey, I know that person from PCW, or like walking down the hall, or just having that collaboration and family oftentimes, I think it's just really great.
Like Sarah said, it's a really great opportunity for the community here to like come together, especially since there's not many events that bring us together. And through PCW, I hosted last year, and while my hostie didn't come to Cal Poly, she did tell me like how great of an experience it was and how she really felt like she had a community here. And as an org rep this year, it was really nice meeting people from all different cultural orgs, since I wouldn't have met them like in class or anything because we're all from different majors and different years. So it just provides a lot of great like networking as well as resources that you can use throughout all your years at Cal Poly.
So I'm only a first year, so I didn't get the chance to join PCW last year, come as a hostee. But this year I got the opportunity to be an org rep, and for me, it really gave me like it really made me feel happy to be able to plan and to create an experience for students who might be like me, or especially students in agriculture, since I am in the College of Agriculture. And being able to go through this entire experience was really helpful and really made me find my passion and wanting to build like a welcoming community for underrepresented students and wanting to create like nourishing experiences that helps all of us like build a community and be able to find people who we can relate to and people who we can always like see as friends regardless.
So similarly to Alexa and Alan, this is my first year as an art rep for PCW, but in the process of helping organize this event, it is amazing to see the outpouring of support from the POC community here at Cal Poly. It is immediately evident how diverse this campus can be because we're all like hidden in our organizations and everything. PCW is one of those events that brings all these organizations together, and it's really, really beautiful and exciting to see. And that personally has been the biggest impact of PCW on me personally, to meet all these representatives from different organizations and to see how much we really care about our like incoming class that might want to be involved in these like cultural organizations.
So I was never a hostee, but I did get the chance to host last year, and that was such a big impact on my life and about my experience here at Cal Poly because of the fact that I got to meet so many new people and expand my circle of who I'm seeing, who I'm constantly getting to know day to day. Many of my friends who I still talk to today came out of PCW, and my hostee who ended up not going here, I still communicate with him at a whole nother school. So it's just it was a way for me to build different relationships, different friendships that I didn't even think I could coming here because as much as we have a community here, like everyone's been saying, it's a little hidden. You kind of have to find it. But once you do, it's just such a great place to be for everybody.
So for me, my first experience was being a host my freshman year. And so being a host is where you are a Cal Poly student and you're part of PCW, and through your club, you host a conditionally accepted student and they come to PCW. So I saw that question, but the coordinators can better answer it, but I wanted to give like a little bit of context for whoever asked it. But so I was a host and it was really, really fun. Like I actually got a lot closer to my friends in that club after PCW, and then they've been my friends since. One of those friends is actually Jimmy, who's a coordinator, so that was really amazing. And it's just a really, really cool event where I always, even though I wasn't a host or an org rep or anything, I always wanted to volunteer for it. I always wanted to make the time for it because it's just an amazing event with so much cool stuff happening, and like everyone said, the community comes together that I just was like, I can't miss out on PCW. I have to be there. So every year I've always been a volunteer since, because it's a really fun, well thought out, great event.
Thank you, everyone, for your responses. Our next question is kind of a long one. So it is, what has been one of your most challenging experiences here at Cal Poly as an underrepresented minority student, and how did you address or overcome these challenges? What specific resources and services, both on or off campus, were involved in that process?
Oh, right. So personally, I think some of the more challenging experiences that happen when you're an underrepresented minority on campus is sometimes, or personally for me being an engineer, like there's not that many women, or you don't see that many like people of color, but it's not like super discouraging, but it's a little intimidating to look around a room and see like no one like you. I've gone into engineering classes and seen and can count like on one hand the amount of girls that are in a class, but it having those experiences only motivates me to go and find my community like even harder, and to like make those connections. And so like every girl in a class that I see, I'm like, yo, we got to stick together. I invite them to SWE meetings, which are Society of Women Engineers. There's also WISH, so it's Women in Software and Hardware. There's so many academic clubs, especially ones like NSBE, for underrepresented students to like join together and meet each other. Another resource is just like, resources are cultural clubs. So sitting in the Multicultural Center, going to Filipino cultural exchange meetings, going to urban movement meetings, that's urban dance culture, still culture. But it really is helpful to just like connect with the people that really know who you are and can really connect with you. And that's always a good way to just like stay strong and feel welcome at Cal Poly.
For myself, a broad answer, the challenging part was just the overall culture shock. For myself, I'm from Gonzales, which is in Monterey County. It's a very rural town. About 90% of the whole town comes from a Mexican background, and our academics don't really have any rigor. We didn't have AP programs. So coming here was the first time that I was recognized as Mexican. It was the first time that hard time pronouncing my name. First time people were like, where are you from? And it was very, whoa, this is a unique experience, especially in the classrooms. As Jordan was saying, it's the first time where you can count people who look like you or that fit your identity in your classes. So it definitely was challenging to jump up to that academic rigor and also to jump into that social change. But there were resources available at Cal Poly for academics. For myself, the multicultural engineering program was a huge benefit for me. They helped find resources for me to help me succeed in my classes. And building off of what Jordan said, the cultural clubs really do help you transition and find that space in that community. For me, Mecha was where I got to be unapologetically myself and not feel concerned about other people. It's just more like, this is a space I feel comfortable in. As well, for my major, recently, last year, actually, they started the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Equity Project, which is a club for the electrical engineering and computer engineering department. And that's another space that I get to be within engineering, but also talk about issues that our own department face, our own campus face, and how we can try to apply change. And through these different organizations and programs, I've been able to excel in my academics and also find that social aspect that I wanted to have in college.
Yeah, so my turn. I guess for me coming in, it was similar to what Vicente was saying, like the culture shock. So I came from San Marino, like San Gabriel, the 626 area. A lot of Asian kids, a lot of Asian people, and then coming into Cal Poly, right? You don't get that anymore. And also, it's relatively smaller school. We're at a graduating class of maybe around 200 to 300, which I guess is big to some people. And then when you show up to Cal Poly, where every single day you see new faces, it's kind of scary and intimidating to not really have the friends that you used to rely on. And kind of for me, it's just a matter of time of once you start finding your clubs and your more repetitive faces. Like I've seen Vicente's face and I don't know how many of my classes now, like, bless up. And, once you join like a culture club, even if you only stick with one, right? Like I've only been in Omega Xi Delta and CSA, Chinese Student Association, those two. They allow you to branch out to meet kids in other culture clubs, whether it's through joint events or just you meet people in different circles. And eventually over time, all these different people just kind of come together and become a nice, community, a nice safe environment for you to really rely on and have a good time with too. Yeah.
Okay, so towards the beginning of 2020, which seems like years ago, there were some tensions between the United States and Iran, which is where my family is from. So this is like a more specific example, but that was like a really trying time for me and the other members of the Iranian Student Cultural Association, which is the club that I'm representing, because we were kind of put on the spotlight and asked to speak for an entire group of people, which unfortunately happens a lot for people of color. And people like the various news organizations on campus, such as Mustang News, was reaching out to us to give like statements about how we thought that the issue was going, or specific things that we wanted to share, which was nice. It was a platform, that's rarely given. But then in the end, a lot of these interviews and statements weren't even featured. So it was just time and energy that we put in that wasn't even like spotlighted or highlighted. So this is just one example. And of course, I want to echo the rest of my peers too. I guess like in order to get through this, I was leaning on the members of my club, which has kind of become like a second family for me. Going to the MCC and seeing other people of color, seeing people that are, like me, have similar cultural upbringings, really kept me grounded and allowed me to thrive in an area where it's not always as easy to.
Okay, so like I said earlier, my first experience of Cal Poly was PolyCultural Weekend. I saw so many people like me. And then my second experience was Slow Days, where I was the only person of color in my entire Slow Days group. So that was a big shock to me because it felt like everyone just immediately started like pairing up and I was just left alone. And same with WoW, I was also the only person of color in my WoW group. So that was pretty difficult for me. And that's just like a more broad thing, and like just walking into classrooms and noticing that you're like one of two people of color, it's pretty discouraging sometimes. And then there's like the more specific examples of as recently, like as a representative of the Chinese Students Association, as a Chinese person myself, with the whole COVID-19 situation going on, I've had multiple remarks based on that like attacking me. So it's pretty discouraging sometimes, but having like once again like a club and just finding your community here really helps. And I work at the multicultural agriculture program, so the agriculture cafes, College of Agriculture, is known to be pretty white, so having this this safe space for people of color is really helpful.
All right, so kind of have two experiences challenging experiences. So the first one was probably my first year at Cal Poly, and neither of my parents went to college, so I was kind of left to figure out just like how to navigate the whole deal, and that includes the financial aspect of going to college. So I remember, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding what loans I was getting, and if I would have enough money and all this kind of stuff. So the resource that I utilized to get through that challenge was I literally just went to the financial aid office anytime I had a question. They have like drop-in hours with their advisors at certain times during the week. And I mean, my freshman year, I must have went in there maybe 15 to 20 times. And actually, funny enough, the person that helped me the most, that at least I remember, was Adrian, who's also in this Zoom call. So and she just said I can confirm this. That's funny. But yeah, so shout out to Adrian, thank you, and all the other.
I do remember fondly you visiting and asking tons of questions, and that was a really good, like, when I get that from students who have the courage to come in and make sure they're understanding everything, that's the best. So you can always use this as a resource. So thank you for that shout out. Yeah, no problem. Thank you. So yeah, no, and now like people come ask me questions about financial aid as if I'm the one that knows it, which is kind of funny, but. So yeah, that's the first experience, and now I'm good. Obviously gonna graduate with some debt, but that's all good as long as I understand it. And the second challenging experience I had at Cal Poly that came to my mind is obviously blackface my second year. So yeah, that happened on campus, and if you haven't heard about it, you can look it up. But that was a challenging time because, as someone mentioned previously, everyone kind of refers to you as like the representative of your people or demographic to speak. And so that just became exhausting for me to talk to all my friends of all different backgrounds and demographics. And so if I remember correctly, the way that I got around that and got through that challenging time was just going to our recreation center and playing basketball. Honestly, I love playing basketball, and we have a beautiful rec center with all the things in there that you could imagine any rec center would have. So I just would go in there and play ball till I was too tired to play, and Eric can also confirm that. So that's how I got through it. So you just got to be creative and lean on those around you and utilize the resources that are available at your campus, but you have to go seek those resources. No one's just going to spoon feed you. Kind of like how high school and middle school were, you kind of have to take charge of your own life. So that's college. Thank you.
So for me, I'd say my biggest struggle was feeling like an outsider in my own major. This is very similar to what Jordan and Vicente said, and a few others. So in aerospace engineering, you don't really see many girls, much less people of color. And like currently to this day, that's still probably a challenge for me because it's hard connecting with people and finding groups to study with. And I mean, now I have a group to study with, but it took some time to find it. But yeah, like Jordan said, like you can count the girls on your fingers in some of my classes. And actually in my year, I think I'm like the only Hispanic girl in my major. So it's pretty tough sometimes seeing that. And it makes you, I guess, there's this thing called imposter syndrome. You can look it up to see what it's about, but sometimes you feel that way. You feel like you don't belong. But there are ways to overcome it, and some of those ways are finding clubs like the one I'm in, which is a Society of Hispanic and Professional Engineers. So in this club, I see a lot of people like me, girls who are engineers and are from the same background. And we're given lots of resources, like we're connected with a lot of companies that we might want to work with, or we're given advice on how to succeed in finding internships in engineering, which is pretty hard. So also the multicultural engineering program, that has helped me a lot. They have good advisors and yeah, a lot of helpful people. Yeah.
For myself, when I came into Cal Poly, I was one of 160. so one of 160 Black students on campus. We actually had our own shirts. I grew up in this area, so I kind of already knew what to expect when coming to Cal Poly. But what I think I really grew in was my cultural ties and identification. Later on, when I was a couple years down the road, I actually ended up getting an ethnic studies major. And the professors and faculty there are incredibly supportive and they have been great mentors to me. And then the other resource I really relied on was the Black Academic Excellence Center. I slept in there, I would eat snacks in there, I would do projects, they had free printing in there. So if there are any Black students, they actually have a webinar after this one. But those were probably like the two I think I relied on the most, was really just finding a mentor, whether that's through a cultural org or through an academic resource. And then just kind of finding that community. Like I said, for me, it was based in free snacks. In college, you will really appreciate those. So yeah.
So my first year I lived in the towers and I was in the business community, and I was the only Asian girl on my floor. And as much as I didn't want that to affect me, it did, and that's why I turned to joining a cultural organization. And I know that Cal Poly, like in the past and recently, has had a lot of racial scandals that were poorly addressed. And so one of my goals coming or like moving on into Cal Poly was to raise and properly address Asian awareness, which is why I joined the sorority I'm in, as one of our pillars are Asian awareness. And that's giving me a platform to like get my voice out on a more like national level. And while it is like a social sorority, it's given me like a safe space to talk to people about these issues that I'm having that I might not be comfortable just telling anyone. And I think that's what it comes down to, is like finding your community here and people that you can rely on for anything.
So for me, a lot of the problems that I faced are like similar to what other people have voiced before. So like slow days, I felt like really alone. And that was my first experience dealing with Cal Poly. But before moving into the dorms, like before fall quarter, I did another program called CORE, which stands for Creating Opportunities for Representative Engagement. And that's where I really found like my community. I was able to start before the quarter started, before WOW started, and I felt good going into it. And then I did CCE, which also like gave me another group of people I could rely on. And I also lived like a really big resource for me was my dorms. So I lived with the Cal Poly Scholars, EOP, Trio, and the multicultural dorms. And literally, like, it's like I never left home. There's people playing different cultural music. They're blasting it at like all hours of the night. People are always cooking like food from home in the kitchen. It's always, and then you see it in the hall, like everyone's speaking Spanish or the languages, and it doesn't really matter. Like, it just feels like home. And that was really like affirming for me. But it later led into the problems. So during WOW, there's like a day where we meet with our majors, with other kids in our majors in our department. And there's kids that I knew from that major, from like friends from high school, and they really didn't pay attention to me. So I felt super alone that day. So it was like, oh, this is like people that like I know, and now I'm like I feel alone. Um, but definitely like going after that, like different cultural organizations and resources that helped me was definitely Latinos in Agriculture, just because that's a social and professional club, and we're able to like meet people from the same culture, and it really feels like home there. And also, the multicultural agriculture program is a place like where I go all the time. I see all my friends, and it really gave me a home during my first year, to be able to feel like validated and making sure that I deserve to be at Cal Poly, because as Alexis said, like imposter syndrome is like really common, or like it's something that happens a lot whenever you don't see people who look like you, or you feel like you don't belong on campus. But yeah.
So, in terms of challenging experiences at Cal Poly, I think we talked a lot about imposter syndrome, and that's something that I could definitely relate with. It was really difficult to come into campus. I was living in the business dorms my freshman year, and so no one looked like me. No one was in the programs that I was doing, and it was really difficult at first to kind of feel like this is my home, like I do belong here. I was able to find my footing, I think, in the Indian Student Association and in building connections with other ethnic people that I knew on campus. Emily Shee that talked earlier, she was in the same building as me, and we ended up hanging out a lot, and now we're roommates. And I'm now roommates with other people that are really involved in the Indian Student Association. And now when I go back to my apartment every day, it doesn't even feel like I left home. Like it doesn't feel like I left the Bay Area. We are able to relate with our experiences and share the resources that we have and everything. And so really, I feel like finding the community that you are looking for is the biggest way to kind of start feeling at home here when you don't feel that way when you first come onto campus.
So I was in a lot of sports in high school. I played on a lot of teams, and I guess one of the biggest things coming here was I joined a lot of the club teams because I wanted to continue playing sports just because I wanted to have fun and be with people. I come from San Jose, the Bay Area, so it's very diverse there. So when I came here and I joined multiple teams, only to find out that I was usually either the only Asian guy or the only Asian person or the only person who's like Vietnamese on that team, it was really disheartening to realize that like not a lot of minorities were joining these club teams because they're either too spooked to join when they see like, oh, this team is like predominantly white, and they see that like a lot of them are already forming cliques within the first years, and it's hard to give it your all in a sport when you're not really playing with people who understand you or are giving you a place to basically talk about your own things. So I utilize a lot of the cross-cultural experiencing, the multicultural center, the various clubs, culture clubs around campus, and I found a lot of people who who feel the way I feel, as they want to play these sports, but they're too intimidated by the fact that joining a team like that is difficult for them. And we ended up forming some of our own teams for intramural sports, the rec center, or also just like playing for fun. I have a lot of my friends, we play volleyball for fun. Just we got a team together, we go out to one of the sand courts and we play for hours. It's really fun, and it makes things a lot better, and it makes things a lot easier to communicate and have people to talk to and play sports with that you can see yourself being with them.
And for me, I'm fifth year, so I've been here a while now. So I was thinking, when I first came, I'm from Colorado, so I'm an out-of-state student. So that was pretty hard, moving to a whole nother state. And I was like one of two people from my high school who came here, so it was like total fresh start. And so that was really hard. And what helped me a lot was joining a cultural club, and that just made me feel instantly like I had like people who just like could make me laugh and I could relate to, and it felt like home and felt really just made things a lot better for me. And so I'm really thankful for that experience. I relate to the fellow engineers who have said the struggles. I was once electrical engineering, but I'm now computer engineering. Just the same struggles there too, but and I relate to, and what helped me was women in software and hardware. Wish that was a great club for me, and also there's this club called IEEE. I don't remember the name, but it has a space. So finding spaces are really nice, like how Sarah said for base, napping in. I would nap in IEEE, or that's a great place for me to do homework in. And then as time went on, then I found American Indian Student Association, which was just a really big blessing. I found that my second year, and that has provided me with mentors, because our advisor, Dr. Janelle Navarro, has become like, her and her husband become like a second set of parents for me and everyone in there. Even though we're small, it's like family, and we can care for each other and be there through the good and bad times. And at the ethnic studies department I'm a double major, as I said, has been the faculty there are just really amazing. They made it feel like home. So I'm kind of just wrapping up what everyone else said, because like Sarah said, ethnic studies, that was for me too. And lastly, the MCC, I've worked for the Multicultural Center for 3 years, and that's been a great space for me for support, naps, food, everything. So yeah.
Thank you, everyone. And now we have our last question for the panelists. If you could go back in time, what is something you would like to tell yourself as an incoming Cal Poly student?
I feel like I would go back and tell her so much, because I remember being extremely nervous my first day. Like, I couldn't eat. My parents were like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I don't know. I'm just like, I'm not about it right now." But I remember being so scared about like how school was gonna go, about not making friends. And then I got there day one and I was like, wait, hold on. Everyone is my age. Everyone talks like me. What's your favorite Vine? Like, it was so easy to make friends. Like, once you remember that like everyone is probably just like as nervous as you are, like everything gets a little bit easier. I also did a lot my first year. I made sure I got into gender inclusive housing. I did cross-cultural experience as a WOWie, so I set myself up to find those communities. My older brother, who also went to Cal Poly, was like, I'm not going to tell you anything, but you have to join PCE. Like, that was his one thing he made me do. And it worked out really well, because PCE genuinely felt like home. The day I walked into like their first meeting and they were blasting music, I was like, this is my house. I was like, this is literally my house. And I feel like a lot of people get that experience when they walk into their cultural clubs. Like, there's just this great sense of welcoming that comes from being around your people, and it makes coming to the school like really rewarding and really nice. And just like overall, I don't think I would want to be anywhere else but here. And talking to all of you, I love being here and I love helping and making sure that like people know what they're getting into. But yeah, I feel like I would generally just like talk to her and be like, dude, chill out. Like, you're gonna be fine. Like, go make friends and just like be nice. Like, that's it. But that's what I would tell her.
Yeah, this being my last year, there's a lot I would tell myself compared to first year to the last year of college. Lots happened. But I'd say the big overall picture thing I would tell my first year self is to put yourself out there and to just say yes to all opportunities. My first year, unlike Jordan, I did nothing. I was not in Metcha. I did not do PCW. Nothing. I was very much, I go to my dorm, don't talk to anyone, don't look at anyone, very to myself. I went on academic probation my first quarter, so that really like put me into this like mindset of like nothing else but school matters. I needed like do well in school or else I'm gonna drop out. But my second year is when I started to get involved in MECHA and Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers and the multicultural engineering and all these different resources on campus that allowed me to grow in community and grow in my own identities and own labels of myself. And through those experiences and those clubs I got to be a part of and activities, I've been able to network with so many people. Like just right now, this panel here, a lot of these people here I've already talked to before in person, have their phone numbers, and you really get to have that repertoire that you can just be like, yeah, I know Eric, yeah, I know Jordan. And it's just really nice to have that sense of community. And it was great that I was able to discover that my second year and gave me so many great memories till now. But I wish I would have done that my first year of just putting myself out there and going to do things, and would have been able to have even more memories than I do now. So that's what I would have told myself first year. Oh, and also have a good time because your last quarter might be online. So say yes to all opportunities.
Yeah, so I'm in the pretty much the same boat as Vicente there, where my first year I did nada. Like I woke up for my 8 a.m. and I went home and I napped for a good 3 hours like, granted, that's something I would tell my freshman self some more too, because sleep more. Once you hit third year and fourth year as like an engineer, you don't really sleep as much. Great thing, sleep. But really just, I psyched myself out a lot. Like, I was just nervous. I was like, how do I make friends again? I really have no idea. But then second year came around, I joined my different clubs, and like bada bing, bada boom, I had friends now. And it's just one of those things where you just don't let yourself be scared, don't let yourself be intimidated, just put yourself out there, and everything will fall into place. You'll make your friends. You might fail some classes, but it's okay. You get to retake, I think, up to like 12 units of it. Don't even worry about it. And just keep doing you, and you'll find a good place to be.
Okay, I would tell my freshman year self to not worry if things seem really hard in the beginning. I remember I was so stressed out because I wanted such a perfect freshman year experience, and things took a little bit longer for me to fall into place, and that's super, super normal. It's normal to be scared and quieter at first, and because not everyone is able to open up really quickly and find their friend group right off the bat. But at the same time, you're only going to get out of college what you put into it. So like everyone else was saying, get involved early, put yourself out there. There's nothing terrible that can happen because of that. The only you allow yourself to learn more and to gain more experiences, and I think that's beneficial no matter what.
I think utilize my resources because I was really shy in high school and coming into college. So I think like resources, including like academic resources, like academic counseling and things. I was too afraid to ask these questions and ask for help, and I would just struggle on my own, thinking like I could just do it. But like those resources are there for a reason, and you have to utilize them. Like I didn't know what the multicultural agriculture program was until I saw a job posting for it and I applied to work there. Like these opportunities are all there for you. So and also like opportunities including like resources including like the cultural community. Like these resources are there, but you have to put yourself out there. Like the community is willing to accept you, but you have to put yourself out there first. And finally, also like mental health services. It's the health center has like mental health counseling for free, and that is such an important thing to utilize, and I wish I knew that my first year.
All right, so if I could go back and tell myself some stuff, it would be 4 things. First, I would tell myself to introduce myself to everyone as Aman, not Aman, which because my name is supposed to be pronounced Aman, but people just had trouble pronouncing it, and I guess I just wasn't comfortable saying it the way it was supposed to be said. So, it's all good. No, don't worry. But then my junior year, after I had an internship with industry, I had a couple coworkers that had names that were way harder than mine, and people were pronouncing them, and I was like, wait, I have no excuse, no reason not to introduce myself as Aman. So that's what I would tell myself, like freshman year, just start with that. Second thing is I was on academic probation too, my 3rd quarter, and I would just tell myself as a freshman, like GPA is not that important. It's not like the most important thing, I'll say. Just pass your classes, make sure your mental health is good, and take care of the important things like that. Because the summer after that, I ended up getting an internship. So there's that, but I didn't know that as a freshman. And then third, I would say sleep 7 hours. I learned that for my body, I need 7 hours. I did not know that my freshman year. And I honestly don't know if I remember most things from freshman year because I was so sleep deprived. And that includes memories that I had with my friends. I'd be like, I don't remember that. I don't know if I was awake at that moment mentally. But the last thing is, and this kind of relates to coronavirus. I just learned this like as a result of COVID-19, and that like, tomorrow is not guaranteed. We all say, oh yeah, next quarter I'll do this. Oh, we could take care of this tomorrow. But honestly, like there's a lot of things in this world that are out of our control. And so if you have the opportunity to do something in the moment, don't always rely on just pushing it off towards later, is what I would say.
Okay, so I would tell freshman year me that college classes are way different than high school classes, just because I guess in high school, I know most of you are probably used to getting like straight A's or B's, maybe like 1C. But coming into Cal Poly, I learned that that's not as feasible, and you can't be a straight A. Well, I mean, you can be a straight A student, but it's definitely way, way, way harder. And I stressed about that for a really long time. So, I mean, it took me a couple years to finally be at peace with the fact that, like, I'm gonna get C's a lot, and C's get degrees. So, yeah, that's what I would tell my freshman year self. And just to relax and, like Aman said, you can get on academic probation, and that's also okay because you're not going to get kicked out of Cal Poly. Oh, and really quickly, I guess some of you don't know what academic probation is. It's just when your GPA goes below a 2.0. So it's very possible that that might happen, but it's okay. You won't get kicked out, and your grades will get better, and you'll be okay.
Just to add to like the whole academic thing, I was really discouraged as well because my grades dropped, and I wanted to go to law school or at least go to grad school, and my trajectories changed throughout the years. But I recently just got into grad school, and I was really excited about that. And that was with like I got in with like a 3.0 GPA. I was like, but you can work for it. There's so many opportunities at Cal Poly that will make you an all-around rounded like good student and good candidate for a lot of things that you want to do afterwards. I applied to a bunch of different programs, and I was very thankful and privileged to get in. So regardless, like don't give up. I think the biggest thing I would tell myself is to not stop dreaming. Don't think like from the minute I started at Cal Poly, it was a whole different campus climate from the one we even have now. And that's a lot like in part due to student work that we all put in. And so I just want to say like, don't stop dreaming. Like whatever you see, if you're like, oh gosh, I'm really uncomfortable or this or that, like you can definitely keep fighting and work towards building a better school or building something that you envision for yourself. And then the other thing I think I would have told myself is it's okay to take up space. I used to straighten my hair a lot my freshman year. Now I let it out. Sometimes people don't see behind you in class, but it's okay. You're there to take up space. You're there to be yourself. So just be authentic, enjoy being yourself, and don't stop dreaming.
Something I would have told myself was, or like to not be afraid to talk to other people, especially during class. Like it's important to make those connections. And even though it's scary being, in a class full of people you don't know, you want to be able to make those connections because it will help you in that class and later on for your whatever major you're in. And then another thing I would tell myself is to not take 8 a.m.s 1:15 because I will not get up. And even though it might be like the only section and you like, if there's a later time or if you know you cannot wake up, don't take it. Like it's not worth it. And yeah.
So I guess for me, well, I'm still, I guess, technically like a freshman or first year. But definitely like 2 quarters ago, I would probably tell myself like, trust your gut. I think like there's with that whole thing with imposter syndrome and like me like when I'm like, am I getting involved too much? Am I like putting too much on my plate? Just like take every opportunity that you can because you never know like where it can go. And you like you're still growing in college. Like you're not a full grown like adult. Like you don't know everything yet. So definitely like figure out what works for you and what doesn't. Whether that's like studying with friends or studying alone. Like definitely like making like college is definitely like time, especially for me, like the past 2 quarters. Like this last year was definitely like getting to figure out who I am and what I'm passionate about. So definitely like trusting your gut is definitely one of the biggest things or one of the most important things you can do, because you'll never know what the outcome is unless you do it. So yeah.
If I had to go back in time and talk to freshman theory, I would say to not freak out so much. I think freshman theory was going through so much and thought like, I don't belong here. I'm walking into these STEM classes and there's no people of color, there's no girls, like I don't see anyone like me. But that doesn't mean that you don't have the right to be there. You know, like you are here to learn just as much as anyone else, and like you deserve to be here. That's what I would tell myself. And then also to not be scared to talk to people. I think Emily talked about this, but making connections is everything. And you can't let your own personal insecurities stop you from building those connections early on, because those relationships will be so meaningful to you throughout college. So just don't be afraid. I know it'll be hard. It's easier said than done, but really, really push yourself to accept your role on this campus and make those friends.
I think I would tell myself a couple things. The first being use college as a way to reinvent yourself. I know that a lot of Asian Americans and a lot of people in general face the problem where in high school they're so expected by their parents and their peers to do so well, like, oh my God, this student is so good, straight A's, blah blah blah. And you get to college and you expect like I have to do like absolutely phenomenal or everyone's gonna like be so disappointed in me. Just don't freak out. Use this time to figure out who you are outside of academics. There's plenty of opportunity for you to go find something you enjoy, find something you like, something you might fall in love with that you didn't think would be possible. These are going to be very difficult on you mentally and emotionally, as well as physically. I can attest to what Eric says. Sleep, take naps as much as you can, because you're not going to get it later on. You're going to be pulling all nighters. You're going to be like, why did I decide to do this? But I mean, just mentally and emotionally and physically, it's just going to be so draining, and you have to be prepared for it. And you have to be ready for it, which comes with just having a great circle of friends, having a good community you can just talk to, and like everyone's saying, just be open to going out and just expressing yourself, and not being afraid to be who you are, not being afraid to talk to people and be like, I guess like the real you. Just like don't be fake. I don't know. And the last thing I would say is learn to snap. You're gonna use it a lot. I can't snap and it sucks. Like every time someone says something cool and I'm like, I wish I could snap along to that. I can't. I can't. So I have to like fake it till I make it. But yes, learn to snap. It'll be really helpful.
Oh my gosh. Hard going as the last person. I relate to like everything y'all said. So what I had thought was if I would go back, I would also say trust your gut. Because there's so many times where like I had wanted to switch my major like first quarter, but someone told me no, don't do that, and like told me something that and then I ended up listening to them and I cared about what other people thought, and I would have been a lot happier if I had switched my major earlier on. So trust your gut, trust how you feel, trust the journey. Though I am glad for the journey I've had, and how it's led me to where I am today. I mean, I'm glad that I'm doing these 5 years and I'm gonna have this double major. Like, but there's so many times where you're just like, am I doing the right thing? So trust the journey, enjoy the journey. Definitely, I agree on the sleep, and yeah, connect with others. Like, there's so many people who I would see them. I'd be like, I see you all the time. What's your name? And then we like talk, So connect with others, and also one last thing would be, it's never too late. Like, definitely try to do it now, especially we're learning about just time in these times of COVID. But like with ASA, I joined my second year and I had gone to one meeting in fall, and then I hadn't gone, and I almost didn't go again in spring. But I went, and then it became the best thing ever. So even if you tried and then maybe you didn't get to go back. It's always okay to go back or try something later. Like even if you join your third year or something, always there's an opportunity to connect with someone new. Like I was afraid that would happen where I wouldn't connect with anyone. All my friends left this year, but I made so many new connections this year too that are beautiful. So if you're open, there's always love that can come. I don't know. Don't think I'm cheesy by saying love, okay? When you get older, you'll be okay. But when you're open, those connections, those beautiful things can always happen. So.
Thank you, everyone. PCW is going to hop back on and share one last thing with y'all, especially because there were a lot of questions about like, how do I participate in PCW? Is it too late? Where do I apply? What's the difference between a host and a hostee? So they're going to clarify some of those things for y'all.
Okay, so we just wanted to clear a few things up with all of you. So due to COVID-19, PolyCultural Weekend won't be happening in the typical physical format that we have it. So there's not going to be that online program, or sorry, not online, overnight programming that we typically have. But there's still ways for you to get connected with the resources that we have on campus and the cultural orgs that we've been talking about this whole time. That's going to be through our new website that's coming out on May 1st. We have our virtual view reboot team that's been working really hard on making this website happen. We have a bunch of different aspects of this website that we're involving. We have personal testimonies from more people that have been involved in PCW, and also talking about this open house session on that website. And we're gonna have a bunch of resources on there and some cool, fun little things like maybe some food guides and different things that you can do in Slow. So that's our way of kind of still getting a way to connect you with the cultural community on our campus, even though we aren't having that overnight program that we typically have in which you would be a hostee. We're not going to have that this year, but there's still ways to get you connected. So make sure you check back on May 1st for that. And also we're going to have a cross-cultural experience PCW crossover event, and we are working out the details of that. So look forward to that if you are interested in participating as a CCE while this fall.
So some of the next steps that you can take, you can go to our website that we were doing a little walkthrough of before. You can click on the drop down for any of the organizations and click that ask this organization a question button, or like feel free to reach out to them via email or their own website, whatever resources they have for you there. But that's a really good way to have direct communication to any and all of the organizations that you see fit. So the second one is to check back on May 1st for that creative website. We're going to have a lot of really fun interactive things on the website, and it'll be like in lieu of having PCW in person this year, and you can come back and reference it as many times as you want to. Our next one is sign up for the cross-cultural experience. That's not something that's going to happen for a little bit, but you can check in on their website every once in a while and see if they have instructions on how to sign up for the cross-cultural experience. Again, that's an alternative version of the week of welcome, which is mandatory for everyone, but that will like count as your week of welcome. And then number 4, if you do decide to come here and during the week of welcome, come through to the club showcase and check out all of the cultural organizations as well as anything else that you might be interested in.
Alrighty, last but not least, feel free to always contact us. If you need any other help or support, you can always reach all of us at the PolyCultural email, and it's simply polycultural@calpoly.edu. You could also message us on Instagram at our handle at PolyCultural Weekend, as well as utilizing the Google Forms that we have on our official Cal Poly website. We're all here for you and we're all willing to support you. And if you choose to come to Cal Poly, there's a large community of students that want to help you. So if you need any of that help or support now, here's ways to contact us in order to get some of that.
Great. Thanks,
And
y'all.
we
Oh, sorry, you're not done. Go ahead.
and we are the PCW coordinators. And before we go, we just wanted to talk a little bit about our experience with PCW and the cultural community as a whole on campus. So for me, going into college, I was like one of 2 students that got into Cal Poly, and I hardly knew anything about college. And I was trying to understand financial aid. I'm a first generation college student. Like, my parents didn't go to college. My dad didn't finish high school. And so I really didn't know what to expect. But because I was introduced to these people who could help guide me throughout the college experience, it made it so much more meaningful, and I was able to make these connections. And like, for those of you watching, I encourage you all to reach out to any of the panelists that you want to engage with, because who knows who you'll be friends with down the road. I remember I met Jimmy, so I was an incoming student, and Jimmy was a host in the org that was hosting me. And now we're like best friends. Being exposed to the cultural organizations on campus drew me into cultural events put on by the cross-cultural centers and events that other cultural organizations are putting on. I joined Filipino Cultural Exchange. I'm Filipino, and for me, that was like the first time I was in community with Filipinos who weren't my cousins. And so for me, that was a really great experience, and being around the all of these cultural organizations really showed me what it means to uplift each other and give each other affirmation that you deserve to be here and that you deserve to use the resources that are available, and to not doubt your existence at Cal Poly. And it really pushed me to want to learn more about my culture and what it means to be where I'm from. I'm from East Salinas. And in terms of what my position and my friends' positions are, in terms of higher education and what that means in relation to systems, and especially because we are in higher education, how we are all interconnected. So engaging with the cultural community has really meant a lot to me, especially learning from, or being introduced to it with PCW. And it gave me affirmation. It gave me affirmation that I deserve to be, or to stay in the major that I'm in. So I started off as a animal science major. And then I ended up adding ethnic studies, as many of us have mentioned that we have ethnic studies minors or majors. But yeah, even though PCW isn't physically going to happen, we encourage you all to reach out to us in any platform that you can, using like the form that we shared with you, or like social media, anything like that. And we thank you all for attending the session.
I think that PCW has been really impactful on my journey to be here. I'm from Center Valley, Pennsylvania, which is a very far place away from San Luis Obispo. And I came in for PolyCultural Weekend during my spring break in high school, and like I had no idea what I was like going to be doing college-wise. I like had never heard of Cal Poly before, and I was like, you know what, like this sounds like a cool event, I guess I'll go. And I think just being around so many people who care so much about incoming students has really like boosted my own passion for making sure that everyone feels like they're welcome at this university. There's no one should be telling you that you don't belong here, because you do. And even just being accepted at all, that's such a big accomplishment in itself. So don't play that down for yourself. Make sure that you celebrate yourself for everything you've done to get to even this position. It's okay if you don't know what you're going to do. You have until May 1st. That's a week. You're good. But I think along with that, kind of similar to what Aman was saying, like don't push off things that you want to do. I think something that I've known myself to do is push off my well-being, because I'm like very involved in different parts of campus, and I think you need to take care of yourself first. And if you are taking on too much, recognize that and like give yourself space to heal from that, because you only get one body, and like you need to take care of it, and you can't help other people, you can't help yourself if you're not taking care of your body. Another thing is, a lot of people, specifically like as soon as you come into Cal Poly, like people really like to make it seem like they have everything together. They're like, oh, I'm getting such good grades, but I'm also like hanging out with my friends all the time. I don't need to eat vegetables. I don't need to sleep. I don't need to drink water. Like, I'm invincible. That's not true for anyone. And it's okay to hype yourself up, but also just know that not everyone has everything together. And for the folks who do have, you know, their academic lives together, take that as like a learning opportunity. Maybe ask them for some tips or something like that, but don't let it intimidate you, because a lot of people really are like inflating how well they're doing, and it's okay to struggle. I think a lot of people mentioned academic probation. I've been on academic probation twice. I've changed my major 5 times. It's fine. And then I just took a 5th year. It's not a big deal. So I think just kind of renaming what your college experience could be. There's a lot of different paths, and you don't need to go down this one singular linear path that's very popularized. I think it's okay to have your own journey. It's okay to consider, do I even want to stay at Cal Poly? Because that's something that I went through, and when I came to say I want to stay here, that's something that really strengthened my reason for being here and wanting to give back to the community. So that's a lot, but just make sure to know that.
So for me, I think Tisa talked about this a little bit too, but I was really, really focused on having like a super perfect first year, like no flaws. It was going to be amazing and everything. So I decided to rush for a Pan-Hellenic sorority, and I ended up getting in like the top one that I wanted. And I thought that from that point on, everything was going to be perfect. I wasn't going to hit any bumps in the road, and just like the next, I don't know, 4 years of college were going to be great. That wasn't the case for me. I had a really, really, really tough time adjusting my first year. I invested all of my time into that sorority. I say like, I wouldn't even count it as one friend, because she only talked to me when she had to, but it was really tough finding like anyone within like the community that I thought I was like, was supposed to be so close with. So I also had joined a cultural organization in the beginning of the year. That wasn't my culture. I joined PCE. It's what Jimmy and Angelica talked about a little bit, the Filipino Cultural Exchange. And I wasn't really involved in that in the beginning, because I was just like, it's not my culture, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable. But after going to some of the meetings later on in the year, after the whole sorority thing wasn't working out, I was welcomed with like open arms. Everyone was so energetic and excited to have me there, especially the people that were my friends that were in the club that had learned to love it so much. And it was hard for me to like get involved in that club. It sometimes can be challenging to get involved in a cultural organization, and it's okay if it doesn't happen like just like that for you. But it takes time, and everyone was so excited to share their culture with me, and it was really just an amazing experience. And I got involved in like a performing group through PCE. It's called Modern, which is like their dance group. And I hadn't danced for like a year and a half, and it was how I fell back in love with dancing. And I ended up being the Modern coordinator on staff within PCE for 2 years. So it's okay if everything doesn't work out the way you think it is. I know in my mind, a lot of times I plan out this like perfect scenario on what everything has to look like. And that's completely not what my college experience thus far looks like, based on what first year Maddie was thinking. But I found PCW, and that's how I got super involved within PCE too. I found my best friends, I found my roommates, and the people that I know are going to be in my life forever. And it's just been a really great experience. And as far as like advice, I would say don't be afraid to take risks and take opportunities that come your way, but also make sure you're not spreading yourself too thin. Take on opportunities that you're ready to give a lot to and invest your time in. Like being a PCW coordinator was one of those things. I had to make decisions and make sacrifices in order to pursue something that I'm really passionate about. But yeah, there's a lot of really great opportunities. I've had a couple jobs. I was a desk assistant my first year. It's a great job as a first year. You sit at the desk, you have to do your homework and talk to people in the living communities. That's great. I also work at the children's center. So if you like working with kids, it's a great job. I'm like currently with 1 year, like 1.5-year-olds. They're really cute. So that's fun. And being a PCW coordinator this year has been an amazing experience, and just seeing how strong this community is has been amazing and really inspiring for me. So thank you.
As for me, I joined two dance orgs when I came my first year. I joined Urban Movement and Slow Breakers, and I did not know that either of those were cultural organizations at that time. I myself didn't go to PCW because my supporters were like, oh, open house has programming for parents. I want to go to that instead. And so because of that, I went to open house and I went through regular WOW, and I ended up finding the cultural community through these two dance orgs. And I slowly was starting to use them as like my space and use them as resources, and just like they became my people. And I wasn't really understanding like why that was happening or how that was happening until I signed up to be a host for PCW my first year, when kind of like all of the pieces sort of connected in my head. The reason why these two groups had become my support system was because they contained people that were like me, people that were having the same struggles that I was, that up until that point, I had kind of just been like, yeah, I don't know, I'm overreacting, it's fine, like this is all fine. And so through these two orgs and PCW my first year, I was able to realize like, no, this is a support system that I need, and this is a community that I need. And my second year, I decided to apply to be a PCW committee head. To be honest, wasn't really sure what that meant. And somehow they gave it to me. I got it. And through that, I was able to work with Jimmy and Angelica. They were my committee head co's that year. And I really got to like dive into this program and see what it was about, and really like find my space on campus and really give back to the people and the programs that have helped me become the person that I am today. And like without any of these experiences, I don't think I would have been able to have the opportunities that I currently have. And I would never have been able to meet all of y'all and meet all of the amazing people that I now get to see every day, or saw when we were on campus. But just being able to see all of y'all and like wave to all of y'all and talk to all of y'all has just these small little things that like add up. And advice that I would say to first years or transfer students is that like any opportunity that you have, whether it be like a job or a research position or an opportunity to meet new people, I would say to take that. Like statistically, you're not going to click with everyone that you meet, but meeting more people is going to increase those chances. So I definitely recommend like trying out different orgs, seeing what works for you, and sticking with the ones that work best, because it's going to be a lot of trial and error. Like sometimes you might find a space and it's the right one and it's perfect, but other times it might take a little bit of shopping around to figure out what works for you. Because it took me a good 2 to 3 years to finally find my community on this campus. And I'm really happy and really glad that I have been able to.
Thank you so much to our PCW coordinators who have worked so hard this whole year for PCW, and then even like being able to move quickly when we had to shift this to an online forum, be able to still provide the space for y'all. And thank you to all of our panelists for your time and serving on this panel tonight. We have a few minutes left, and so we wanted to just kind of open up the floor for folks who might have any remaining questions. So if you have questions specifically to a person, an organization, or just more general questions, we are able to kind of answer those live for you at this moment. So feel free to drop them in the Q&A if you have any.
Nice.
Hey, Kahu. I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name. So for ISA, the Indian Student Association, basically we're a cultural and social organization, and we host events every quarter. Usually one major event related to culture. Like for Diwali, we have an annual banquet, and we have over like 200 people showing up every banquet. We have a winter formal, and so all these events that we host are catered to the Desi members of our community, but everyone is welcome to attend. It's open to all. And so how we build community is through a bunch of different ways. We have mentorship within the club. So freshmen, when you first come to your first general meeting, you can sign up to be a little, and you'll be paired up with a big based on your similar interests and your major and everything like that. And then that person can serve as a mentor for you throughout the course of the quarter, but also throughout the course of your time at Cal Poly. That is someone that you can look up to and have that open communication with. And then also through the events that we talked about. And then usually what we find within ISA is it's very tight knit. It's what a lot of people use to form their friendships. For me, I found my roommates through that club. I'm currently on the board for ISA because my friends and I were so involved in it our freshman year. And so the building community process is pretty gradual. You go to all these events and you meet people, you see them in your classes, maybe you get food with them, and then they become the people that you hang out with throughout the course of your time at Cal Poly. So yeah.
I can answer Kira's question. I hope I did not butcher that or anything. But I was also torn between going to Cal Poly and going to UC Irvine. I'm not a transfer student, so I don't really know how that happened, but I kind of get the time thing because I got off the Cal Poly waitlist, so I literally had like a week to decide like, hey, are you going here? Or are you going there? It was really tough for me to figure out where I wanted to go, but ultimately what I did to decide to come here was the Cal Poly philosophy of learn by doing. It's going to be something that's going to be ingrained into your brain for the rest of your life. But this school, literally, like all of their majors, everything that I've done here, I've learned through hands-on work. I am a biology major, so it really helps. You're sitting in the lab and you're actually not just learning about what a cell looks like or parts of a cell, you're actually looking at it. Like this is what a cell membrane looks like. And it helps you realize that a lot of the learning here is not only just textbook learning and looking at the lectures and going to professors' office hours and just reading it, learning about it through, what's the word I'm looking for? Means of just like philosophical, I don't know. But it's basically just, I decided to go here because I wanted to have a place where I could physically do the things I'm learning about, and versus like going to a UC, which is more theory based and more around you're in a classroom full of like 200, 300, 400 students, and the professor barely knows you. That's just some of the things my friends tell me. They go into a class and there's 500 students in there and they've never ever talked to their professor, versus like here at Cal Poly, my biggest class has been like 100 people. My smallest class, I literally had a class with 10 people in it. It was wild. It was me, 9 other people, and our professor. And we had so much fun in that class. We played music every day. Like, it was great. It was just a great experience, being able to communicate with not only your professor, but also getting to know your fellow classmates on a more intimate way, I guess.
That question is finished. I can answer Jeremy's question. He asked, can you join cultural clubs at any time of the school year? I can't speak for every single cultural club, but for the one that I'm representing today, Chinese Students Association, you can join at any point in the school year, though it is recommended to join in fall because that's when most of the events are. That's when the Big Little program is, which is a very core part of a lot of cultural clubs. So in short, yes, you can join any time of the year, though it is most recommended to join in fall.
And adding on to that, like for cultural sororities and fraternities, we have recruitment at the beginning of fall quarter and winter quarter, and sometimes there's only a fall recruitment. So if you want to join, that would happen in the beginning of fall.
Yeah, so I'll move on to the next question. So I would say lab and learn by doing kind of go hand in hand. I don't really know if you can say there's a difference between the two of them. When you have lab, you are learning by doing. It's going to get ingrained to you where one of the big differences about Cal Poly is that you're very rarely going to find classes with kids more than 30 to 40 tops. And even then, the labs that you get, especially if you're in engineering or like bio or the other majors, sorry, I'm sure there's some equivalent to all that. But you are putting yourself into a much smaller classroom size where your professor has more time to just teach you how to do things with your hands. And you're learning kind of a lot more practical skills rather than theory, which for someone like me, I actually really hate math and I'm an engineer. So just kind of like learning how to like blow things up a little bit better is like much, I can visualize something blowing up versus seeing numbers that don't work. And that to me kind of really depicts learn by doing.
Just to add to that, for like, I did agribusiness. So one of the things we did for learn by doing was like we did like mock sales calls, and we actually had industry professionals come in. So there wasn't really like a lab component, but our teachers were really intentional about making sure what we did, we could actually produce that. So the things I did in my classes, I was actually able to take to interviews and explain to them kind of what that process looks like. So I feel like regardless of the major, they do really try and incorporate that, even if there isn't that lab component, but the lab is definitely a really good way to get that experience.
Adding on to that question from the, oh, sorry, Vicente.
Oh, go ahead.
Adding on to the question from the science point of view, like Eric said, a lot of the engineers have their own labs. A lot of the science majors also have their own labs. One of the ones that was really helpful for me was I suck at chemistry. I am so bad at it. But we were literally sitting in class and our professor would do the actual experiment with the numbers on the board. And he'd be like, here's what happens when you add these things together. And we could literally physically see the reaction from the front of the room and see, oh, this is how this works. I understand that now because not only am I learning about it, I'm physically seeing it happen. So we can physically see reactions happen within lab and within these chemistry classes that like I would never have passed if like I had never seen this before.
There's also a lot of opportunities to get involved into different research labs on campus. For example, the marine science major has its own pier that can be used for scientific research. And for several of our classes, we are able to go out and actually research specific areas or observe and study different areas. And I had one class last quarter where we had 8 hours of lab, and every lab class we were out studying a different space in Morro Bay or the different beaches around the area.
And I think she learned how to scuba.
Oh,
sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
That's okay.
Did that too.
Okay, I'm done.
Just to add on to what everyone else is saying, another like benefit of the learn by doing is a lot of professors do come from industry. So what you're learning in those labs, you're not just like punching in numbers to a calculator to a problem that will never happen in real life. A lot of these industry professors tell you like, no, this will never happen, or this will happen. This is the type of things you should prepare for. So it really helps you like get prepared for transitioning into a career.
One quick thing oh no, you go, sorry.
Okay, sorry. I'll make it quick, but coming from like a non-STEM point of view, I'm a liberal studies major, so that's future teaching. So pretty much my first year in college, it wasn't my first quarter, so I had some time. They're like, you want to be a teacher? We'll get in the classroom. So for a quarter, I had to spend a total of 24 hours within a classroom, and I did this again this year. So I had 4 hours with kindergartners this year. It was time of my life. It was so much fun. And then my first year, I got to spend, it was throughout a quarter, so we had a long time. It was like 3 hours a week for a certain amount of time. And I got to spend 24 hours with fourth graders too. And in that way, I could figure out, do I want to teach younger kids? Do I want to teach older kids or even middle school or something? But yeah, they pretty much threw us in there and had us learn and observe different ways that
teachers are either great teachers, not so great teachers. So that was a really great opportunity. And I think that goes for a lot of majors too. They really put you in like the headspace by making you do it and making you go all in. So it's a great way to, this is something and something that you want to do for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I wanted to also add from my friends' experiences who are engineering or STEM was like my roommate who's landscape architecture. He's gone on countless field trips to places outside of SLO, like he's gone to LA so many times to go observe certain things. For my friends who are graphic communications, they've made books, they've made magazine, like my friend physically bound a book, and did the pressing of the paper, and they have the paper presses and like have done so many amazing things. And like friends who are food science majors, like I actually went into the lab and tasted their foods, and like their labs was making foods and like doing the differences between things and asking people about the differences between things. And so like everything across the board is just super hands-on, not just STEM, which is really cool.
Just to quickly add on to what they've been saying, even the majors that you think a lab would be unorthodox, I'm currently in the process of switching to kinesiology major. And one of our classes was learning about people with disabilities and how they fit into society and what we can do to help them. And my lab was to literally play sports for 3 hours with people with disabilities. It is the best thing I have ever done. It was so much fun, and I got to meet so many people, and it was just an eye-opening experience to be able to learn about it and physically put it into practice of how different disabilities affect different kinds of people, and how to best approach different people with different disabilities.
There's so much that we can say about Learn by Doing, and I'm going to add to it. I mentioned how I've been multiple different majors. One of the majors was Modern Languages and Literatures, which is essentially Spanish, and then you learn a secondary language. But after that, like my secondary language became my minor. So I have a Chinese studies minor. In both my Chinese classes and my Spanish classes, you're not just spending the time like sitting there and copying down like all of the things. Like probably 90% of every class period is like you have to talk to the people around you, and like you get tested on the way that like you converse and like your writing as well. So it's like very hands-on, and you can't just like get by with, just writing all the notes down and stuff. So also Learn by Doing in non-STEM fields.
Thank you, everyone.
Last thing. I've heard from a secondary source that if you're in business, I've heard magical things about the corporate tours. Just hop in on those and your life is set. Just heard it from an anonymous source.
Thank you. So I think that about wraps up our session. Thank you so much for all of you who came out to our session tonight. I hope that you got something informative and valuable from what the students were able to share with you today. If you have any further questions about PCW or cultural organizations during your decision-making process, feel free to email polycultural@calpoly.edu. Again, thank you so much for coming, and we hope that you have a great rest of your evening.
We all just waving, or are we staying?
Eric, I think you